Is that Orcust showing up with Super Heavy Samurai and locking down a second place for this Nationals? I'm begging 30% of you that have not smashed the ever-living crap out of that subscribe button. Smash it so you guys don't miss out. More Oz content. Now, this is a very, very interesting breakdown out of this event because this is massively diverse. That is Kashtira taking down one whole slot in Top Cut. Oh boy, less Kashtira that I have to deal with. We have Drytron in Top Cut. Okay, I'm actually kind of excited to see how Drytron is going to look for this. We also have big ol' scary Dragon Link, you know, Uwu Machine Lubellion F with my other little Bysteals. And then we also had Branded. Now, Branded ended up taking down this event, which, from my understanding, the Duelist was so excited to get their W. And I understand that. I understand the need for that victory. So I was super happy to see, you know, the photos and the excitement that was captured for that win. Now, the thing that catches me a little bit off guard here was there's a Super Heavy Samurai Orcust deck that topped, and that's it's not something that you really thought you would see. I've seen like Infinitrack, you know, Super Heavy Samurai, but the fact that you have this little hybrid build showcasing here is kind of interesting. We also had, I believe, regular Super Heavy Samurai making Top Cut out of this event as well. Not surprised in the very least to see that. We also have Trap Tricks. Okay, so Trap Trick structure deck, give or take some cards, actually doing well. And then, of course, good old reliable Math Mech, Circular F, still doing its thing. But, you know, for this breakdown, this is actually beautiful. I love when we can see pie charts not go too crazy. I mean, technically you do have two Super Heavy Samurai variants, but, you know, the flavor does mix up a little bit, so you kind of got to keep that in mind. Let's pass on over so you can see what's going on with these deck lists. Running our event here is none other than Branded. Wow. On Triple Luber, which is fine. We're playing one Quem Double Blazing Cartesia. That has felt a little bit more standardized, I feel like, at this point in time. Double Blazing Cartesia has really been winning the show. And I also see here that we have triple Crossout Designator in here as well. Crossout being honestly, you kind of need it. Being able to, you know, cross out any hand trap that can be an immediate issue for you, so you can kind of go ahead and start to establish that board so that you can play the game, is very, very crucial. And trust me, not being able to play around certain things is the end of this deck. I see we're also playing some Santa Claus for defensive options. We have some Bysteals for more defensive options as well, and Dark Ruler No More to kind of break through those pesky super large annoying builds. Also 44 cards. I will tell you, Branded just does not get lucky. They're usually forced to play very much above 40 for the best results. Second place here is our Super Heavy Orcust deck. Now, how much of the flavor of Orcust were we kind of piling in here? Well, I mean, you have triple Mech Grisu, you have the one Orcust Nightmare. It looks like you're playing one symbol, and then we are playing one copy of the World 1. And guess what? Our Tower of Babel, which allows our Dingrisu a interruption point. Okay, so essentially we're using, you know, our friend to be a capitalization effect so that we can spot removal on the opponent's turn. That's kind of cool, actually. Besides, you know, like Regulus being a defensive option for this deck, getting the extra help from the Orcust package, I think actually kind of helps this deck out. So either we're citing the Ninja Star Toby, we're citing, I believe it's Epsilon down there for your additional Cyframe package. So deck looks like it covered a lot of its bases, a lot of its weaknesses as well. And I think this is just also kind of cool just to see. All right, next up here we have our Dragon Link Duelist. So, of course, Bysteel package. I don't know why you're trying to play this deck without Lubellions. It's a very strange thing, but some people have tried it. It's the only real thing keeping this deck alive. We did get Dissipator and Chaos Angel added into the pool of this deck, which has really strengthened this deck a lot. I didn't actually realize just how crazy Dissipator is. Like, especially when you can make it for free in this deck and control your opponent. It's really, really good. And of course, we are side decking skill drains down here as well, so that you can control your opponent and be able to play the game. Perfectly outside of that, there's not a lot else to really talk about No Ash Blossoms in the main deck. They're sided. Once again, I mean, this deck still does what it does. It's just with more light and dark shenanigans kind of running around in the format. You just got to be aware that you need to control or watch what you try to control. Next up here, we have Trap Tricks. So for our plus inclusions outside of the structure deck, we have some Pot of Prosperities in here. We are playing Disc Coliseum with the mini Thurion package, which actually up to this point, I think I saw that package. People were trying to side it. Maybe it was, I also think they're trying to side it in Eureka, but a little interesting to see that, you know, we just went ahead and chucked those into the main deck. And then I see that we are playing the Mardell in here as well. Actually, Mardell without Lone Fire Blossom. Okay. So you see the Mardell, you can go ahead and capitalize, get the effect running for that. Triple Parallel Exy. Parallel Exy in this deck feels so good. It really is that stupid of a card when it actually resolves. It really is the carry for this deck in terms of its engine, but rest of this deck feels pretty good. The double Pot of Prosperity I don't think is going to hurt any wallets because 2 feels about right, honestly. Next up here, we have Drytron. Hi, Drytron. Kind of a shame that you didn't get top 4, but that's fine. I'm glad to still see that you're doing things out here. We are playing Herald. Okay. And then, of course, we're playing the Chaos Max in here as well. Only 2 Dark Ruler no more, so you can board break. That's fine. I do like... We're also playing the Herald Ritual in here as well, so technically... you can go ahead and set up the Ben 10 with the Herald to, guess what, get free advantage back to your hand. We are playing Curry cards because we kind of need those. Trust me here. You're going to probably get into some nasty Herald wars, and unfortunately, you know, you don't have that free resource bin that you used to have with Ava. So whatever, you know, discard fodder you're getting, it's probably going to be, you know, maybe 2 to upwards of 4. And unfortunately, that might not be enough for certain matchups. So, outside of that, I also see the one little Harpy's Featherstorm down there for some shenanigans. Okay. Next up here is our Kashtira deck. We opted for no Drolls in the main deck. We instead opted for Shifters and Gammas for defensive options, which is fine. We also had Imperms. I see that we are playing Goliath down here as well, so you can do things. We also are playing the Fossil Skull Warrior. We're not playing Fossil Skull Wagon. Also, no Ints. Ints was starting... It's actually kind of a shame because Ints has been falling off for a little bit. Ints was a pretty good little resource card that you kind of add into this deck and do things with. I see we're siding 1 Thrust. We're also playing double talents in the main. Now this is kind of interesting. We're playing triple Pot of Prosperity, triple Pot of Desires. So this duelist wants to be able to maximize their value and decide which tree that they need to go down, depending on how things set up. Okay, that's perfectly understandable. I mean, as much ground as you can cover makes sense. Next up here we have our Math Mech deck. With no real sauce, actually. I am glad to see that, you know, you didn't even have to buy the new Math Mech cards in order to get this deck going. You could just go ahead and pick up your old reliable pile, and you were off to the races. I see that we are playing 4 Bysteals in the side deck. We are playing the 1 Kaiju. The reason why you play the Kaiju is so you can small world into it as a resource to tribute over something if the opponent, you know, is making a field that's not agreeable with your deck. And then, of course, we're playing the 1 Omega down here. I love that the Omega slot has been rededicated to this deck. That way, you know, if you actually set up the Gamma driver to make the Omega, you're like, oh, okay, cool, I'm off to the races. No firewall stuff, no new stuff. This is it. You play your old deck. It's the same old consistency that you needed. I think that's good. That's what you really want to see. I wish we could see new stuff show up a little bit more, but okay. Next up here, we have our other Super Heavy Samurai deck. Wow, this deck forced all the way back to 8th place. That's kind of sad that the Orcust package carried a little bit harder. Now, this build is playing the Spell Canceller in the main deck, so you can actually toggle it for off of the Genius. We are also playing the Saruja for the interaction, especially some of the Spell Canceller. Only 1 Magical Hound, which is fine. Standard Bysteel package inclusion. I feel a lot more hand traps down on the side deck to kind of handle things, but deck is... I will say pretty standard for what we've seen out here. So what do you guys think about everything out of this event? Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace. patrons. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.